What's up, guys? You know the routine. We're gonna wait a few moments to build some audience here. If you can let me know if the audio is working all good on my end, that will make things go more smoothly. We have people joining in. Sweet. Audio is good to go. Got some people in here from my YouTube channel and Facebook because we're multi-streaming on this. We're going to be talking about my trip to Spain that we did a few weeks ago. We're going to be talking about this past weekend's Roar First Carpet Nationals at Northwest Hobbies. We're also going to be going into some of the events that I'm prepping for and kind of upcoming events. And then some B6.4 talk along with some B74 stuff throughout the end of the video. So for those who are already in the chat, if you can share this to your friends that may want to watch us later down the road, it only helps my channel and Facebook out. It much makes it get out to as many people as possible. That would be much appreciated. So we got Bradley in here. Jeff, what's up, buddy? Got people in. Vinny. My mom's in here. Rob, Eric, Bradley, Sean. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Paul. Pretty awesome. So, yeah, again, if you have any questions regarding any of the 8-scale vehicles, 10-scale vehicles, go ahead and throw it in the comments. I'll kind of basically do my normal routine, talk about whatever topic that we'll be in the middle of, and I'll go through the questions, answer them, and then, of course, you guys can go back in if you aren't able to hear it and go back and rewatch this to make things pretty awesome. So, yeah, first off, I want to congratulate Tommy Hall on the Tour Drive win yesterday with the AE1-2 finish at the Tour Drive Euros. It was pretty awesome to watch him put together two solid mains, actually three solid mains, a first and a second and a first. So pretty awesome there to see. That's with our new B6.4. I know those guys been working pretty hard over there in the UK and all over Europe, trying to get the car up to speed, figuring out the new shock stuff, because it seems like there's a lot of new things that we've been working on with the shocks. So pretty awesome to see that they got it figured out. So they're starting to do the four-wheel drive portion of the Euros today. I think it's like seating practice or some sort. So yeah, pretty awesome there. I'm currently re-prepping my 8-scale car for the Visions race that I'm going to be going to in 2 weeks. So putting together some new plastics, keeping the same differential and out drives, bones, prepping this. So I'm still working on putting some new servos in today, but we did our Spain trip a couple of weeks ago. Me, Richard, and Jason Rona from J Concepts took I think it was almost 2 weeks, a 10 or 11-day trip, maybe 9 days. I don't really remember, to Spain for the World's warm-up. It was kind of up in the air, honestly, the whole time. Really wanted to see what was really possible with the kind of the COVID testing, the vaccination stuff. So we kind of got it all squared away. ended up being a really smooth trip. Getting there, coming home. We had a little bit of a hiccup with some of our tires not really showing up, but we kind of made it work with what we had, which was really nice. Honestly, we kind of had enough stuff to do what we needed to do there. Learn the track, figure out a sense of direction with the car settings, and yeah, I mean the size of the track is extremely large. It's almost like the same depth perception as like the Paris track, but maybe a little bit longer. This is probably in the 250, 300 feet range of length. So as far as size goes, you can totally see that um, the different kind of perspective that you'll have. And the driver's stand is actually like right on top of the track. So you're looking literally down at pit lane at your pit guy. And the straightaway is right there in the front straight. Not to mention, it was several different conditions that the track actually has there. And, I know that some of you guys that are watching this probably don't maybe exactly care because you guys won't ever really probably get to run on it. But I'm just trying to just talk to you guys about kind of the different conditions that it was, talk about some of the settings that we did. Um, but for the most part, the track was extremely high bite, but in some spots it would kind of dust up. So not only you got the high grip sections, you got the high speed sections, low speed, dusty conditions. You had the multi-surface concrete section in the center. It was kind of check marked all the boxes for track conditions. And when we first got there with my normal baseline, it seemed that it was pretty far off, but circling back to kind of where we ended, it was pretty close. For the most part, it was more about just learning the depth perception, your muscle memory going around the track, and really figuring out the proper diff oils for those kind of high speed, high grip conditions. So, for the most part, we ended up with like 15K front diff oil, 15 or 30 in the center, and 6 to 5 in the rear. It was crazy. We had a little bit of some issues in one of my quarterfinals. I wasn't able to make the semi. Kind of had some rough qualifying, but was basically working my way to bump into the semi. After the first pit stop, my steering servo was basically just completely going out, and I had to retire from the session, which was a pretty big bummer because it would have been nice to get the long running practice. But for the most part, we were able to kind of really watch the semis and watch the main events. And yeah, it was pretty awesome to see the different kind of driving styles out there from watching from like the top driver stand perspective where me and Jason were watching from, and really seeing the difference in how the cars look, the tires are wearing, and stuff like that. So it was nice to see that different perspective. I feel like I've done that twice now, and it's not really a good feeling watching the main event stuff. But going there for the warm up, really figuring out what we needed to do, what we learned, and the next time we go back, it'll just be a lot easier. So overall, I think it was an incredible experience, and not only a more valuable experience to see our Euro drivers, our Euro customers that were there. Seemed like for the most part, it was just most of the pro guys there. I think it was like 60 or 80 entries, not very many people. But as far as the track was, it's pretty freaking awesome how amazing, high speed, grippy, how fast the cars are going. I couldn't really be happier with how good my Adam Drake 82 engines were running out there with the extra power. And yeah, for the most part, we'll be probably running one of our harder compounds that we have available to us. So I'm sure most of you guys will be watching on Live RC or RC Racing TV once it's up and running for the world. So yeah, for the most part, I think we have a pretty good handle on things. Obviously, Davide got the big win there. Um, Came kind of back from the mid pack, worked his way up, had a solid drive to finish off. The leader actually had a flame out. It would have been pretty close for Davide to actually catch him, but it's part of nitro racing. First, in order to win, you must finish. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty stoked to see how things play out there. So, questions coming in. So, Dave, under what conditions would you recommend running the universals on the e-buggy? Just front or both front and rear? To be quite honest with you, Dave, at the moment I'm not even in the realm of things of considering putting universals on any of my 8 scale cars. Um, for whatever reason, there's just some things about the way our car works, and it needs to make that mechanical bind to make traction. Um, if you are a fan of the universals and it does fit your driving style, then I'm all in for you to do so. But I haven't been able to put them on and say like, oh my gosh, this is definitely the way to the future for us, and we need to run it. But with that said, the different kind of conditions that I've been running on have been like high speed, where like the CVAs like naturally, in my opinion, when you run CVAs, it has actually some more steering. So that's kind of why I've been running it. See what we got here. So yeah, this is a great question. Do the new 13 millimeter shocks directly fit on the B74.1? And the answer is yes. So only thing that you need to double check is making sure that you need to make sure that you just have like the kit towers on the 4-wheel drive. So the 27.5 rear tower, the kit front tower, the shocks bolt on um, directly on. You need to just get all the parts to build the shocks, the shock collars, shock caps, um, the shock cups for the bottom, and stuff like that. So my 4-wheel drive that I converted over for carpet has the carpet or the 13 millimeter shocks, and then I'm going to build another new set of shocks for my dirt 4-wheel drive, and start with probably 2-hole 1.6s in the front and 2-hole 1.8s in the back, and go from there. And we'll get it set up. I'll post some stuff in the next couple of weeks about kind of the official shock package that I'm running for 4-wheel drive. I don't think any of our guys are or have been like did some serious running of where to start with the 4-wheel drive 13 millimeter shocks. So I know a lot of us haven't been able to get the parts to put them on the 4-wheel drive, but as of recently, the last couple of weeks, they've came in stock, and I've got a recent order that has the rest of my stuff in it to do so. But yep, you are good to go to put them on. I know for carpet, it made a substantial difference for 4-wheel drive, just because the 4-wheel drives in general are really heavy and it has a lot of natural roll. And with the 13 millimeter shocks, it's just only going to like slow things down, help with corner speed, consistency, jumping, landing, the whole 9 yards. So definitely do that. I actually just ordered my new kit, B74.1. I know we just got them back in stock, I think. So for those who are thinking about building a new car and want it to have some fresh stuff for the remaining of the year and need a new four-wheel drive kit, definitely get your hands on one because I know they've been going quick. Get the shocks converted over for this thing, and you'll be kind of all set. So I gotta actually build this the next week or so for kind of in preparation for the 10 scale nationals that's going to be at SDRC. So for those who are wanting to build new kits, we have the kits in stock to do so. Everyone's been really pleased for how the things have been working. So Bradley, with 10 scale question, do you prefer thicker piston, thinner oil, or thin piston, thicker oil? Explain why, please. I don't really know how to answer a question like that, but I've been running the 2 millimeter pistons from the 13 millimeter shafts. The 2 millimeter pistons with the 13 millimeter bodies, with basically for carpet, I've been running 2-hole 1.6s in the front, 2-hole 1.8s in the rear for two-wheel drive. And for four-wheel drive, like basically the same thing. So if you're talking about the 12 millimeter shock bodies, I always run the thick pistons with those. And with the new 13 millimeter shocks, I run the 2 millimeter pistons, which is considered thin. Derek in the house, what's up, buddy? Benjamin, are you going to be doing, what is it? Are you going to be do any testing before the Visions race? So yeah, I'm considering going to California next week, potentially doing some local practice sessions at Thunder Alley and maybe the Dirt, and maybe doing the JBRL at the Proline track. We'll have to see how everything all plays out. I'm going to get a hold of Mayfield and see if he wants to come with me, take the trailer out there. So we'll have to play it by ear, but that would be the ideal, kind of get back in the 8-scale groove before the Visions event, which we're really stoked about. Obviously, it's going to be a little weird because we're going to be missing out on the E-Nationals, which ideally it's one half dozen of the other. I think that the E-Nationals, it's not really a really great showing for us. It seems like it hasn't been the great of a entry count as it has been in the years past. And if there's an opportunity for us to get on live television, MAV TV, and what kind of the Visions promotional people are kind of promising us, it's kind of a no-brainer for us to kind of risk going there regardless if we do or don't get the TV exposure, because we're going to be surrounded by 25,000 people, with the concerts, the real off-roading shows, all that stuff. So I think it's going to be pretty awesome with all the people there. So someone's asking, when can we expect a new 110 scale four-wheel drive kit? I don't know. We just got kits back in stock. I don't really know if anytime soon that's going to happen. So if you're considering getting a new four-wheel drive car, definitely don't wait on it, because we just got these in stock, and I just ordered a new one to build for the Nationals. So everything the car kind of offers is pretty updated, other than the shocks, which we still don't offer those for the truck stuff yet, but we'll have the shocks and stuff in stock plenty enough for those guys that want to go and order and convert their cars. So yeah, I had a question about my servo. Since the servo went out, would I be considered trying a different servo? So no, we actually kind of looked at some stuff of what actually potentially happened, looking at the dates of when I actually put in the servo. The servos that I went there with have been ran in my cars the longest that I've ever ran them in. So ideally, I should have just put in fresher servos. um, for that particular track. For whatever reason, that track in Spain is a really high demanding on the servos. It's super high speed, demanding. The jumps are really long and large. It's the servos get extraordinarily hot too. So um, definitely slap on the wrist for not doing that. So Matt Klein, do I use 17 millimeter outdrives to run the universals on the B4? Yeah, basically you for sure have to do so, so they don't pop out. That's if you decide to run the universals. I don't recommend doing it if you're looking for more traction because I think the CVAs do create more traction. We have Kyle in the house. So we have another question about the four-wheel drive for the 13 millimeter shocks on a four-wheel drive on clay. Are you thinking of running the slightly lighter oil like the two-wheel drive car? I'll probably start with um 35 201 sixes in the front, 35 weight, 2 hole 1 eights in the back with 32. I think it will be a good starting point for the four-wheel drive. I don't know. I have to really go back and check some notes. Again, the next couple weeks and stuff, I will be kind of doing some CSI where I'm going to be starting point for there. I know our other team guys, Dustin and Aiden and Cole, are going to be traveling to the Omaha event next weekend, which is the weekend I'll probably be in California, hopefully running. So they're going to be running the four-wheel drive there along with the two-wheel drive and kind of figuring out some four-wheel drive shock package stuff. So they'll have some more knowledge on that. They'll have basically an event in their belt for the four-wheel drive 13 millimeter shocks. So keep an eye out on them. If you are going to Omaha, then you guys will be all set to ask them any questions you may have for the shock stuff. And then I know like Hobby Action's putting in new layouts here soon. So I'll be able to go to the track and just throw down and see where's a good starting point. So good question here. In regards to the T6.2, would putting 13 shocks on it improve the overall handling? Obviously, the shock bodies are a different size, and you'd have to refit them. So yeah, I mean, basically, it's going to be a no-brainer for all of our associated drivers, customers, to eventually switch over to the 13 millimeter shock bodies and pistons. It's amazing how nice it does under landing, jumping, stability, and handling with just strictly changing the shocks. So definitely a no-brainer there. Are you thinking about doing the U.S. Carpet Championships in Cleveland this year? I honestly don't think I'll probably be there. There's just so many events going on with the Worlds, the Nationals, some of the 8-scale racing that we've been committed to doing. It's just going to be a lot for us. I'm not 100% sure the remaining of the year. So, for instance, I basically have a week and a half from now. I go to the Visions events. I have basically a week and a half off, I think, or a week off. Then I go to um, the Wicked Weekend, and then a week off. Then the um, 10 skill nationals at SDRC, and then like a week off, and then it's the Worlds. So pretty crazy schedule going on. Those are the next 4 big races for me, and that's one race weekend at a time. We have Kevin Fouch in here, the PDX owner. Great hospitality he brings to the hobby. Great guy over there in the Northwest. So appreciate Kevin for tuning in here. It was nice seeing you in the past few weeks. Thanks again for all the help and support. James, yeah, we already had asked this question. I actually just got my new B74.1. We just got them back in stock. So we're not going to be, I don't know anything about a new 4-wheel drive that's coming out anytime soon. So I just got mine to build for basically the 10 scale dirt nationals. I'm going to convert it over to the 13 millimeter shocks and be good to go. So if you're considering getting a new 4-wheel drive, you better jump on it before they're out of stock again, and you'll be good to go. Adam's asking, how do you see the edges off the carbon rear towers? So basically, if you take really fine sandpaper, sand all the edges off really nicely, and then wipe it down with the towel, and then you use thin glue, a nice thin layer of glue, let it dry all the way around, and then you re-scotch or sand it again. Do that like 3 or 4 times. It's a long process, but it does look nice and it lasts a lot longer. If you're also able to look on YouTube to see a more visual method for how it's done. So, what's up, Chris? Joining us, John. Do you think getting a new brand car is any sort of racing will really benefit your program as much as some think? John, I'm not sure if I'm familiar with the question you're asking. If you want to ask it a different way. Kevin, question. I am running the 4 trailing up front. My fuzz bite rear seemed to snap mid exit. Go to 3, change roll center. Kevin, I don't think I would recommend going to the three trailing arms. I think if it's snapping because it's oversteering, I would just glue the front sidewall more. Or raise the front axle height. Steve Harris in the house. Hey, Steve Harris. Mm-mm. Kevin needs to slow down the rotation. Yeah, I mean, if you just want less steering, for sure, glue the front sidewalls. Maybe even go over onto the top a little bit. That definitely changes a lot how the car drives. You can also change your EPA slightly, go down a little bit, or even limit. We have the cool limit steering throw screw that you can unturn a couple of times to help with that. Hashtag 60. But now that we kind of went through a lot of some questions, going to be kind of going into the carpet racing this past weekend at the Northwest Hobbies. Basically, the first inaugural carpet race. Unfortunately, we as a team didn't really do that great. Got a little caught off guard with kind of the how fast the layout was. Basically, it seems like some of the tracks that we struggle on are a little bit track dependent on where our speed and consistency is at. Unfortunately, I think we were just struggling with getting a lot of on-power steering. We kind of really couldn't really figure it out. I mean, it's not like the car was bad to drive. It was just the other guys, Dakota, Brock, and some of the other guys just had a little bit easier time finding a little bit more steering to find the extra pace. I think for sure there are some things that we weren't really able to fully try when we were there. Just kind of were scared to try it during the racing and didn't really want to screw things up. But, I think for how the track was, it was a good learning experience, good eye opener to really try to figure some things out. Obviously, we didn't have any fire drills or anything like that. The cars handled really good on the jumps. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 cars in the main, I think. At least 4 that I can think of. So I think on a consistency scale, it was pretty decent. But for finding the extra gear for speed, we were just lacking a little bit of that. The 4-wheel drive I thought was probably one of our better cars, but just finding some extra steering. It seems like that's basically the biggest difference for the carpet tracks that are really high speed. I know, like when we were in the Florida for the carpet champs, it was a similar situation of finding that extra steering. There was a couple settings that I was running in the 4-wheel drive that I learned after the NCTS race a few weeks ago. I actually broke my car at the end of practice, but running the 3 axle height on 4-wheel drive on middle and the rear tower was more preferred than running axle height number 2 and down on the tower. So it seems like when you raise the axle, you raise the link to go with it, and when you lower the axle, you lower the link to go with it. It's a little bit of a different feel. Overall, when you change the axle height from 3 to 2, it's only a 1 millimeter change, but when you change it on the inner, it's a few millimeters, like 3.5 millimeter differences. So it's like an in-between kind of fine stage tune. I think if I would have ran it how I raced with it at the NCTS, for whatever reason, how this fast and high-speed track was, I think it would have just helped my consistency a little bit better. So 3 axle height, middle on the rear tower for the Kimberlink, probably would have been the way to go. My carpet car, obviously, we were kind of debuting the B6.4 F2 body, how awesome it fits with the new front chassis and rear chassis design. Obviously, we've kind of fixed a lot of the gear rubbing problems, so you don't really have any like visual rubbing problems, which is really good. We did a video on this at the Nationals, kind of the J Concepts upgrade list that we did. So like the turnbuckles, the servo mount, the front wing motor screws, and stuff like that. We had a good time doing. Yeah, we for the most part it was a good weekend. Nice seeing we had a lot of customers there that had a good time. We did really well in the 15 under class. I think we got finished first and second there. It was nice to see the kids have some fun. We finished on the podium in the 17.5 class. I know Doug had a kind of a up and down weekend with a little bit of a drama in one of the mains, but it's just a tough racing decision with how things went off from there. But yeah, underneath the hood of my car, got the Hobbywing electronics, Sawbach servo, 5.5 motor, ProTech 4800 battery. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's pretty nice. Running carpet, it's basically spotless, clean. You just blow it off and you're good to go. But one thing I want to talk to you guys that maybe you haven't done before, but I've been tuning a lot with the carbon option parts. For instance, the carbon top deck, the carbon caster block and steering block. Obviously, I always run the carbon front arms. That's like a must. But I'm pretty convinced as of recently, especially for carpet, the carbon spindles and caster blocks is also basically a must just because of how much flex is going on in the arm. So the carbon arm helps with that. And then when the arm is harder, it basically flexes in a different spot afterwards. And there's a lot of flex that ends up happening through the steering block and caster block. And I also noticed for the like 4-wheel drive, the top deck that we've been running, the X brace basically from the old car, that added a lot more stability and consistency. So that got me thinking to why not try like the harder top deck for the 2-wheel drive? And boom, it was like a 9-day difference at the PDX track. You know, obviously it didn't really quite kind of help us out for the Nationals track, but I know like consistency, I thought that was like for sure another step better. So definitely check out the carbon top deck, caster block, and steering block along with the front arms. I know the durability actually is probably as good, if not better, than the stock parts. So I would for sure check that out if you're struggling with a little bit of consistency with the steering. You want it to be a little bit more sharp, have a more feel. Then that's the way to go. Yeah, I was pretty stoked on how the option material parts. I know. Yeah. I'm trying to see if I have. Can't seem to find it, but definitely check that out. So we can go through some of these older comments that I may have missed. Here's a good question. Yeah, the rear wing location, it's something that you just have to play with. It's not definitely not right or wrong. Definitely check it out. So we have a guy from YouTube asking about, hi Spencer, I'm looking to getting into RC racing more seriously. Would I recommend getting in the 2-wheel drive route or the 4-wheel drive route? We'll share this with my 10-year-old son too. Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing I would say is starting with the 2-wheel drive, just because um, it's a lot easier to work on if you do have broken parts. It's a little bit more inexpensive, and it's great. It's the most popular class, especially if there's a local track. So definitely recommend the 2-wheel drive. Go from there. There's plenty of people on the internet that can help you out. I'm always here to answer as many questions as possible on my social media. I first started with the 2-wheel drives, and definitely don't regret that that was the way to do it. So I don't know if there was any the truck shocks are out yet, but I know that that's for sure in the works. Um, I would imagine they'll be out sometime later this year. Dun, dun, dun. Again, guys, for those who are in the chat still, really appreciate you guys staying in here to watch. If you guys can just like or heart the video, it kind of helps kind of my YouTube and Facebook kind of profile out as much as possible. And again, if you want to share this to some of your friends that may want to watch us later down the road, that only helps it out as much as possible too. To the right of me, you can't really see, but I was showing earlier in the video that I'm actually prepping my 8-scale car for the Visions event, basically putting on new plastics, rocking my other 82 engine here. Got a new chassis, new arms, new hubs. Yeah, kind of doing a full nice rebuild before the Visions event, which is actually my next event. I know we were just talking about it. I'm really hoping, and it sounds like we're gonna be expecting a much different kind of crowd than normal, just with the tens of thousands of people that will be there racing, or basically being involved in the other stuff that's going on at that compound. There's going to be several different concerts there. There's going to be several different off-roading, karting event stuff. From what I heard, there's going to be a ton of people there. And Live RC is basically covering the whole thing. They're saying that they're going to have their biggest coverage that they've ever done, the most amount of people they've had apart with their crew for the lifetime stuff. So I'm sure their live TV and their cameramen will be around the whole track. I'm sure the layout's going to be, that's the other thing. Joey's building the layout, and I'm sure it's going to be pretty awesome, but I'm sure since it's going to be kind of around those kind of different people, that the spectators are going to want to see something pretty crazy. So I'm expecting it's going to be pretty nuts. Glenn, can you mention what you had in your carpet shocks for oil? I ran 35-35 for my 2-wheel drive, and I ran 42 in the front of 4-wheel and 32 in the back. What is left kit and what is needed to change on your 2-wheel drive for your carpet car? And is this information on your setup sheet? The setup sheet has all the like part numbers and stuff of what is upgraded on the car. So if you go check out rc10.com from the NCTS event, you kind of be all set up there to get squared away and get the thing dialed in. Yeah, so what was the next thing? So we talked about the Visions events. The next event after that is going to be the 110 scale off road dirt nationals. It's going to be in San Diego. San Diego is one of my favorite places to race just because the way that dirt gets when it gets grooved in gets pretty dry, a little bit of a dry slick kind of track. Sean, the owner, always is a big fan of just RC, and him and his dad take care of the facility really nicely. He was actually in the Northwest with us in Albany, checking out the Raymond twins and watching the racing and supporting the guys from SDRC, which is really cool. He also wanted to come out and talk to Roar to see about anything that he can do on his end to prepare for the nationals. That's going to be in basically a month, which just shows the dedication that he has and making sure that he wants to put on a great event. So it was nice to see that other side from him. It sounds like everything's going to go pretty smoothly. Gonna get that thing kind of taken care of, and yeah, I'm going to be racing 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and I believe stadium truck there. So I think we'll have some good racing there. I know the last two times I've been there, I've done pretty well. The last INS, it was a little bit of a struggle. Kind of had some weird sidewall gluing issues with the sidewall band that kind of hurt how my car was handling. So I kind of got that all squared away. I know Dakota's been pretty hot as a driver, and I know everyone's going to be trying to taking him down. So looking forward to giving it everything I got. Going to be a good showing from us. Bouncing back from this carpet race and having a good race weekend. And then after that, it's all eyes on the World Championships in Spain, which I'm sure I'll talk to you guys again before we leave, which is in September. So yeah, we'll basically probably do two live videos before I leave. So give you an update how the Visions race goes, and then the 10 scale Nats. It's gonna be pretty awesome. Again, if you guys have any questions, I'm always here to answer. You still got some time left. Yeah, we'll be racing smoothie twos at SDRC. Yeah, got to get some vlogging work done for Spain. I know we were considering doing it for the warm up, but I kind of wanted to see how the trip was going to go. And now they kind of have a great idea of what's going to happen. It's going to be pretty cool. So I haven't ran my B6.4 on dirt yet. But I will be starting with a 0 degree aluminum bulkhead with a 2.5 caster insert. So total of 25. Yeah, the 4800 battery is the low profile, low CG pack that I run on both 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. Um, on the tour, do I run the lower roll center or higher roll centers? I run the middle position. So with the B6.4, I'm running the 75 millimeter arm. But I'm running the B6 old D block, so it's much narrower. So it takes away a lot of toe. Um, so I'm running the new B6.4 C block, but the B6.2 or 1 D block, all the way narrow, middle location, middle height. Did you ever run into issues with the rear sway bar rubbing on the 13 millimeter springs? I haven't noticed anything. Depending if you run the arms back or forward. If you're running the arms back, I run a 2 millimeter spacer to shift the shock forward, because when you shift the arm back, the shock kind of goes with it because it's connected. So you can run a 2 millimeter shim on the behind the shock screw to push the shock back to where it was. I will not be attending the J Concepts INS at Hobbyplex. I'm going to be potentially in California doing some 8 scale running, so I will be missing that one. Is the front spoiler really needed for carpet? Honestly, it seems like I've ran one without it and it feels really good, but for whatever reason, when I have one on, my lap times are just quicker. It's really difficult to really pinpoint where it's actually having more corner speed, but for the most part, yeah, it's necessary. Yeah, so that I just saw the new X rings drop for the 8 scale shock and diffs. What are your thoughts on them? Yep, this has been something that we've been working on for some time now. I'm pretty happy to say that they're pretty awesome. The only thing that I can say, the shock ones are like the 10 scale ones, but the diff, it seems like on a normal routine, you'll have to replace them. I'm not 100% sure how long they will last, depending on how much you really run. So, basically, until you start seeing them kind of pop up, open over like the slot, that's kind of when they're probably due to be, refreshed. So it's a part that does eventually get worn out. Um, so, but for the most part, the sealing that they have on them is really good. They're really smooth. It helps with not sucking any air or leakage, which is really nice. It's been a long time coming to have them for the diffs and the shocks for the 8 scale side. So definitely check them out. I just got my order. I got a place actually for them, but I know when we did all the original testing, it was a big thumbs up. Yeah, so this is a good question. I mean, it depends on. You'll have to keep an eye on it. I know for modified, you probably definitely can't get 8 to 10 minutes out of it. Stock, I'm not 100% sure, especially during club racing. I don't know if you guys charge the high voltage milliamp number, because remember those packs are like for instance 4800 is charged at the high voltage volt number. So if you're charging to 8.4, it's actually less milliamps than what it says on the sticker. The sticker is shown at what it's fully charged at the high voltage number, so 8.7, I think. is what it is, not 8.4. So if you're looking for the longer mains, I always probably switch to like the 5000 or the 6100. Most likely the 6100. Especially if you're racing stock, I would probably always run the bigger battery, just because to keep the voltage as high as long as possible. Tips for getting a little bit more front weight transfer under braking on loose surfaces for two-wheel drive. If you're looking for more front weight transfer, you can always run the aluminum front bulkhead or the servo aluminum mount, aluminum servo plate under the servo to get some more steering. The front wing definitely makes a difference. If you want your car to get deeper onto the front end through the sweeper, running the front wing does that. If you want your car to jump nose down, that's what it also does too. And then if you don't have it on, it does the exact opposite. I haven't ran my SC 6.2 since the last year's nationals, so I'm not 100% familiar with what everybody's doing now. But I know we have a lot of good short course guys out there that race it on the regular. So I'm sure if anybody that's in the chat that can help out getting some people some setup sheets out there, that'll be pretty awesome. But yeah, that wraps everything up, guys. I'm gonna be wrapping it up. Gonna get back to work wrenching. Gotta put some new servos in my my radio tray. Get my 8-scale car kind of all prepped up and ready. Get my practice car kind of done. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. For those who are just tuning in now, you can go back and see what we originally talked about early on in the video. Again, if you have any questions regarding anything, feel free to message me or any of the team guys, Dustin or Aiden, Brent. We have a lot of good guys on board. Cole, Lee. So, yeah, thanks again, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next one. If you're going to be in California next week, racing some 8-scale, I'll probably be out there. Yeah, have a good one, guys. Take it easy.